it's Natasha here and Kate from Women's Environmental Network, and we're here to talk to you about all things environmenstrual and reusable menstrual products. And we're going to take your questions and comments, but first of all, we'll wait until everybody tunes in, and in the meantime, we'll take a look at the different products that we have here. So first of all, we've got a few different kinds of products here. So we've got menstrual cups, so this is a menstrual cup, just an example. We've also got reusable cloth pads, and we've also got period pants. So these are some Wuka period pants. So today we're going to be going through all of these products and hopefully have a good conversation going. But yeah, so far it's only 2 minutes past 12, so we'll just see if anybody's logging in.
And a happy Menstrual Hygiene Day to everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, so today is Menstrual Hygiene Day, 28th of May. So this is sort of a way to kind of get the conversation going about menstruation and also bust the myths around reusable menstrual products that we have here. So let's see if we've got anybody coming. Okay, so we've got a few people that have joined in. Hi Cleo, hi Linda. Yes, so I guess first we can talk about some questions that have already come in on our Instagram channels. So one question that somebody had was, how do you cope with using a menstrual product, particularly if you have a heavy flow? So the great thing about the different menstrual products that are on the market, especially with menstrual cups, is there's many different brands now. So, for example, there's Hey Girls. So Hey Girls comes in 2 different sizes. They have a size small, which is for people that are under 30 that haven't given birth yet, and it's quite a small size. Essentially, it collects your menstrual blood rather than absorbing it like a tampon. Let's see if you can get a closer look. And basically, it's great that they have 2 different sizes because you can try out what works best for you. So that's the small.
So you could also start with the small one until you get the hang of sort of inserting it and then move on to a bigger size depending on your flow. Some people find this is a good enough size for them if they don't have particularly heavy periods, but you might want to then go on to a different size if you've got particularly your first day or if you have a heavier period.
Yeah, so this is the large size, and it's recommended for people over 30, and if you think that you have a heavier flow, this might be better for you. So this is the Hey Girls cup, and at the moment Hey Girls actually has a Give a Cup a Go campaign. So if you go to their page, you'll see all things menstrual cups, and they'll answer your questions that you might have about their menstrual cup. And essentially, you may already be aware, but if not, it's a menstrual cup is different from a tampon in the way that it collects the blood rather than absorbing it, and it can also be worn up to 12 hours depending on what the brand recommends, and also according to your flow and what you're comfortable with. And so they are insertable like tampons, so they can be really convenient for people. And yeah, so that's...
So you would... They're different sort of folds. So when I use a cup, I just fold it like this. But other people do a different type of fold. I'm not very good at origami, so it depends what works for you. And then you insert it inside your vagina, and then it opens up and forms a vacuum, and that's where the blood collects. And basically, when you want to remove it, you just pull it out and then empty the blood in the sink or the toilet and rinse it out.
Mm-hmm. And this is a Selena cup, and this is their small size. And so you can see that some of them have different grips to help you remove the menstrual cup after each use. So this one has a little loop there. So yeah.
And they've got different sizes as well. And sometimes if you've given birth vaginally and you're under 30, you perhaps would want to go for the bigger size as well. So
yeah.
But there are so many different cups on the market. I think you really need to find one that suits your body. I would recommend going on Precious Star's website. She reviews every single cup according to your body, depending how high your cervix is. So find one that suits you, really. This is the Diva Cup.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't actually open it. This is a Diva Cup, so similar to all the other cups. They've come in 2 different sizes as well. This is their larger one.
Yeah, so I think their largest one, which is Model 2, I think it can collect up to an ounce or something of period blood. And so for people that are worried about heavy flows, that is really good, because you usually only give out 1 to 2 ounces of menstrual blood over your menstrual cycle on average. So when you think about how much 1 cup can hold, that's really good.
Yeah, and also you don't have to use a menstrual cup just purely on its own. You could, if you have a very heavy flow, you might want to then use some reusable period underwear as well as a menstrual cup or a cloth pad. You can do a kind of mix and match. I think that can work for some people with heavy period.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to see if any comments have come through. I had my phone here actually before. Yeah, sorry. Let me see if any of you have any comments yet. I do see a few people have joined, so there's 6 people online. So if you have any questions, please feel free to mention. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just seeing what there is. But in the meantime, we'll talk about kind of different myths that we've come across. So one of the main ones or reactions I get when I talk about reusable menstrual products, and specifically menstrual cups, is that they're gross. So the first thought is that, oh, it's reusable, it's really gross and dirty, or things like that. And usually I hear that from young girls. And of course it is a personal preference with menstrual cups in some ways. But when you kind of look at the information out there about the pros of menstrual cups in relation to disposables, you'll find that actually there's a lot of really, really great things about menstrual products. So one of them is it saves us a lot of waste in the environment. So billions of tampons and pads, which a lot of them containing a lot of plastic, end up in landfill, and this plastic can then end up in waterways, in our seas, rivers and beaches. And as we know, plastic takes hundreds and hundreds of years to break down, if ever, and then plastic itself only turns into microplastics, which then of course can be ingested by poor little sea creatures, and it can potentially be fatal. So with all the information out there about plastics, it's actually quite a great alternative with a menstrual cup. Yeah. Especially because they can be reused and can be used up to 10 years. And they're made from medical grade silicone, so they're safe to use. And yeah.
And you can just save so much money, because, you know, it's not this question each month, oh God, what do I have to buy products? You've got it in for the next 10 years. So that's convenient as well. But a lot of people worry about sterilising the menstrual cup, and I think that's an issue. People think they have to kind of boil it in a saucepan for half an hour or something. I have to say, all I do is boil the kettle, put my menstrual cup in a mug, pour some boiling water over, and then it's done. So I only do that each month, each time you use it. So it's not as hard. I think that's a myth, that people think it's much harder for it to be sterilised, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, so that answers actually one of the questions we had from one of our people tuning in. There's another question here about how many times can you use the menstrual cup? So that really depends. So as we said earlier, you can, over the course of a menstrual cup's lifetime, which can be up to 10 years, you can use a menstrual cup. But on a day-to-day basis, it really depends on your flow. And as we said earlier, you can wear a menstrual cup for up to 12 hours, so between 8 to 12 hours, depending on what the brand recommends. And usually people find that they don't actually need to change their menstrual cup very often during the day, sometimes only once a day, for example, once or twice a day, because the ability for it to collect quite a bit of blood. So that's the great thing about it, is that you don't have to worry about your tampon becoming or needing to change your tampon so frequently, for example, because of the lesser amount of menstrual blood it can absorb. So that's a really great benefit for a lot of people for menstrual cups, is that it's not as much of a hassle in terms of needing to change it as much. So really, for how many menstrual cups or how many times can you use a menstrual cup, it's really depending on you. But yeah, it's a really great alternative.
I think it's time to buy a new one when it goes, like, I don't know, brown or raggedy. That's then I had one and I thought, oh, yes, I need to invest in a new one. So, but I think you can tell from the look of it, if it starts peeling away, then it's time to get a new one. But this should last for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, and we have another question here. How do you know which size menstrual cup to choose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if you are first starting out, particularly if you're a virgin as well, you might want to start with a smaller one, because it's easier to, until you get the hang of it, it's quite good to start with something quite small, and then you can even then go up to a bigger size if you want to have one that collects more blood. But yeah, I think, Natasha, you said, so different cups have different guidelines, but on the whole, under 30 you have a smaller size, and whether you've given birth vaginally, then you need a bigger size. But over 30, I'm afraid you need a bigger size anyway, whether you've given birth or not. So that's the general. But some cups just have small or large, but some have 3 different sizes. So
yeah. So also, we do have other products here. I know the menstrual cup is probably one of the most well-known reusable products, but we also have period pants. So this is an example of period pants. So this is by a brand called Wuka. Wuka was started by actually someone who used to be a volunteer for Women's Environmental Network and an environmental volunteer, Ruby. And basically these are really great because this can manage a heavy flow, so it can hold up to 4 tampons worth of menstrual blood, and you obviously free bleed into them as you would in reusable cloth pads and other non kind of insertable products. So these are great because they're really comfortable, and they absorb the blood really well, so you don't really feel wet or like it's soaked or anything. So if you have any questions about these as well, we're happy to talk those through.
And there are other brands. You've got some Thinx pants here as well. I think they hold up to 2 tampons worth of blood.
Yeah, it looks like we have another question actually about the menstrual cup.
Okay.
So one of them is, would you suggest to see a gynecologist before starting to use the cup? Can it be safe for any kind of body?
Yeah, I think it's safe. I mean, I know I've heard for some people who have endometriosis, it might be difficult to have can be quite painful to insert anything into the vagina. But I think I don't think you need to see a gynecologist. I would say experiment with different cups, take your time, relax. If you don't get it right straight away, don't worry. There's often like helplines you can call with each cup, often have someone who can give you advice. Sometimes people worry about taking the cup out, and again, if you tense up, that is going to be a problem. So I would say really relax, do deep breathing, sing a song when you have to really, and you can't lose your menstrual cup. So if you can relax, and then you'll soon get the hang of it. But and ask other people who've used cups for tips as well, because something might work for someone else or not for another. But everybody's body is different. So yeah, find the cup that works for you, I would say. Anything else you want to add?
I would say, it's good to do, you can do your own research as well before trying it out and see what other people's experiences have been, because probably a lot of people have the same questions that you do. And also, there's a lot of great, actually, YouTube channels out there. So there's Precious Stars by Bryony Farmer, that she goes into a lot of depth about the different products, and she also she has her own channel about the specifics about different brands as well. So she goes into the different sizes and the different softness, for example, of the products, and also gives tips about how to insert them. So I think that's always good to kind of do your own research before. But of course, if you do feel like you need to consult with a doctor, that's also your choice as well. So we do have another question. Someone's asked, are they made from recycled plastic? Are they recyclable?
Mm-hmm. So they're made from medical grade silicone, and yeah, I'm not sure after 10 years whether they can be recycled. Often they've broken down so much whether you can put them in the recycling bin. That's actually a really good question that we need to find out about. But in terms of the waste, if you look how small it is, if you were then using that one thing for 10 years, if it then did have to go into landfill, it's not the end of the world, considering like disposable pads are 90% plastic and you're using however many a day, 4 a day, going into landfill, either incinerated or the plastic going into oceans. So, but maybe that's something the manufacturers will be looking into, whether they can then be recycled in the future. I don't think they can at this point, but I might be wrong.
No, I don't think so, not at this stage.
But it's a good question.
Yeah, hopefully soon. Somebody's just commented, agreed, no medical contradiction other than when wouldn't use tampons, for example, if you have an infection. Another thing actually about menstrual cups is that there is a far less greater risk of toxic shock syndrome as compared to conventional tampons. So in that sense, they are also safe, but it's also good to keep in mind about how long you're using it. So try not to use it over 12 hours.
And follow basic hygiene. Wash your hands and then sterilise it before you start your period as well. Yeah, I mean, there've been no cases of toxic shock syndrome linked yet to menstrual cups. So
I think those are the main products, but we also have reusable pads. So here we have the brand EcoFem, which are actually based in India, and then we also have Bloom and Nora. So these are great as well. They're similar to period pants in the sense that they're worn externally, and they've also got these wings similar to disposable pads, but with these, they actually have a clip-on to secure them onto your underwear. So they do give you that security in terms of leakage. So you hopefully wouldn't get as many leaks wearing these. And yeah, they're made from different really absorbent kinds of materials like cotton and bamboo.
They come in like different sizes, so there's thicker ones or smaller ones, depending on maybe where you are in your cycle or how heavy your period is. A lot of people ask, oh God, you know, what about washing and stuff like that? So you can just throw them straight in your washing machine. You can rinse it out in cold water, but it's perfectly, like, period blood is not like unsterile. So I think that's another myth, would you say, like, don't worry, you can, and then you can just line dry it. Yeah, you don't have to put it in special sterilising liquid or anything, and you can just wash it 40 degrees. You don't need really high temperatures.
Yeah, okay, so we've got 2 other comments. So one comment from someone is, what can men do to support all of these great initiatives?
Oh yeah, I think just be open about talking about periods. Don't have it as like a taboo subject, really. Don't make people feel embarrassed if they want to hang up. You know, don't need to hide if they want to use washable pads or pants, or, you know, let's not have it as some sort of secretive issue. What do you say?
Yeah.
Like, or anything else?
And just, you know, support the women in your life or people in your life that are menstruating by helping them. If they aren't feeling very well during their periods, you can support them. You can also not feel that talking about periods is gross. I think by having conversation with people who menstruate about periods can help lessen the taboo around it, and we can all just talk about this naturally occurring process that a lot of us go through together in a more positive way.
Yeah. And then I think just being aware of all the different products that are available to people who menstruate, you know, that people might want to use different things at different times, and if more people know about the different options, I think the better, really.
Yeah.
And something might suit you at one point in your life, but then you want to switch to something else. Like you might want to start with a cloth bag, but later on you might want to move to a menstrual cup or not. So depending.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to note that not all people who menstruate identify as women. So there are trans men, for example, that may also be menstruating. So I think that's also important.
And I think the reusable period underwear are very good like that. They come in lots of different styles, so you can find, you know, short styles, boxer, thong. So find something that really suits you and you feel comfortable with, really.
Yeah. Okay, and then I think we have one other question. We might take one other if that comes through. So one of them is, how do you know how much you need to trim the stem on a menstrual cup?
Yes, that's a very good question. And as you can see, some of them have quite a long stem, but whereas Selena cup just has a little handle, so that one you don't need to trim the stem, but other ones you do. You've got to, when you put it in, you've got to see what's comfortable, and everybody's body's different. So sometimes it would hang down lower in the vulva and vagina. So I would say trim less to start with, and then go and do your life. Sit on a bike, and if you can feel it and it's uncomfortable, then you need to trim it more. But you need to have the balance, be able to hold on to it, to pull it out, to empty it. But you don't want it hanging down so low in your vulva that actually it's uncomfortable. So the idea is you shouldn't feel it when it's in there. Yeah. So you'll have to experiment and see what works. But you don't want to overclip it and then you haven't got enough. So
yeah. And then we also wanted to actually tell everyone that's viewing that we actually have a giveaway of a Hey Girls menstrual cup. So we've got 5 cups that we are going to be giving away that Hey Girls has kindly donated. And essentially what you have to do is you enter via the Environmenstrual Instagram. So there was a post a few days ago about the giveaway, and essentially you just put in the comments and express your interest for it, and you can use the hashtag #LoveReusables, and you can even tag Hey Girls, and that giveaway entry is actually ending today. So by the end of today, put your comments in, and there are 2 different sizes for Hey Girls, I think we said earlier.
Yeah, there's a small.
So they come in these boxes. There's a small, and so this is the large one.
Small and large, yeah.
And this is the smaller one. So basically, if you really want to give a cup a go, put your comments in on the Environmenstrual page, and we'll select the winners and let you know. And also, we do have discount codes on the WEN website. So if you go to wen.org.uk, we do have a lot of offers for different reusable menstrual products, and also plastic-free options. If you would like to try plastic-free disposable options as well. So yeah, I do see that we've had quite a few people that ended up joining in. So we're really happy that you've joined us, and thanks for all of your really great questions. And we hope to do more of these in the future. So if you have any suggestions about topics that you want us to cover, please do let us know.
I hope you give these things a go and let us know how you get on. We'd love to hear your stories.
Yeah.
Thank you, and happy Menstrual Hygiene Day.
Yeah, happy Menstrual Hygiene Day. Thank you all.
Bye. Bye.